Now this is different. Yeah. Trying to fix this. If I do, you'll see the video. If I don't, you won't. Here's the issue. When it cycles, it's supposed to go back to the home position that it started from. But it's not. Now let's see if it goes all the way back. But more than likely it gets stuck upside down. Or will it get stuck? That is the question. Nope, it got stuck. And now it's really confused. Well, that's what I'm dealing with. Okay, let's clean the sensor and the little robot hood. See if that does anything. If you see more after this, it didn't do anything. Okay, it has been de-smooched. De-smooched? Smooch? Smooched. Stuff. See what that does. And it's been reinstalled. Okay, now to see what's hiding in the control panel area and see what's going on there. If anything, because the other thing didn't work. Continuing. Okay, I had some footage here of me actually taking that piece out, but where it went, nobody knows. It vanished into the ether. But when you do, make sure you record the location of all of the connections to the main board to all the wiring harness. On mine, it has 4, one of which is for Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and the rest for the running mechanism of the machine. So I made sure I took a picture of it so I know where everything would connect up again later. Okay, the main board is out, and it's not too dirty, but there is that little crusty little teeny battery there. So that might be something to investigate. It's certainly crusty. I don't know if that has anything to do with it losing its mind, but we're going to find out. I will clean the board and see what kind of thing it is. Here's all the disconnected stuff. It appears the battery on the main board here is spot welded in. It does not easily pop out. Again, I don't know if that has anything to do with the issue, but we're going to find out. Clean the board. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. We'll see. Continuing on. Okay, another board to clean. It came from the same assembly. But I'm beginning to think it may have been those little sensor transistor thingamabobbies that we're having a hard time seeing what with the rotation position of the globe. So I'm going to clean this area up a lot because there was some tape over it. It was really schmutzy. Because my instincts perked up when I saw that. So we're going to see if that hopefully works out too. I'm just going to continue on here and clean everything and give it a whirl. Okay, it slides like out of that little holder there really easily. And it looks like some little transistor detectors of some sort. They're wedged in there. And they kind of slide up and out. Might as well maybe test them and see what kind of things they are. So let's clean them. And the motor assembly just kind of slips on out. It just kind of sits there on these little rubber grommets. So I think the issue is going to be down here. I think there's just a lot of schmutz to clean and circuit boards to figure out. And again, hopefully it's going to work. Might as well clean all the contacts while I'm in here taking it all apart. There's contacts in various locations so that sensors and items and lights and things light up. fact, these go with those on the bonnet. So I'll probably also bend those forward a little bit so they make good contact with those ones I showed you earlier. Yeah, those might need a little cleaning. I think you're just worn though, but let's do it anyway. That's better. Let's give the motor a good clean and re-lube and everything. So here's the connections. Let's see, white to brown, red to green. Let's disassemble the connections here. These should just unplug and I can work on the motor. Okay, one motor to kind of clean and look at. Doesn't look too bad though. It was working fine. Okay, hiding underneath is a compartment for a backup battery in case the power goes out, but never had to need one, so they're just hanging out. That's not going to be the problem, but thought I'd show it. However, on the inside, there are some electronics. So these have the potential to be really filthy because they hang out just where everything dumps out. I'm surprised they're not shielded a little bit better, but we're going to pull those up and clean them as well. Okay, it looks like there's 4 screws holding the bottom on, so out those go. Correction, there's some hidden screws in the side handles to get before you can pull the bottom off from the rest of the assembly. And one hiding in the back. And a connection down here towards the back that I don't know what it's for. But don't pull up too fast. Okay, the 2 on the right are the connections for a spare battery which were not in use that I had to fish through the bottom. And this is the connector that goes to the back that connects to the base to some leads that I guess monitor something going on in the actual litter, probably to trigger to say when the litter box is actually full and empty it. We're going to clean everything and reconnect it. And here is the base unit to the electronics, so we can get those cleaned and keep going from there. Yeah, this could definitely use a clean. Doobie 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 doo. Okay, the second one is all cleaned up and reinstalled. And the base, I'm going to clean up a lot of it too, just because I'm here. And then put it back on the base. Base. That's the top of the base. That's the bottom of the base. And I got to get those 2 back together. Okay, the work so far. Clean the control panel on the front where the cycle, reset, and empty buttons are, plus the electronics. Noting that one battery that might still need investigation, but it seems to be hard welded in, so I don't know if that's ever meant to be changed. Clean the motor assembly and everything. Thankfully all the screws are exactly the same everywhere, so that makes life easy. Just put them all back. Used a whole bunch of things to clean things and lube the motor, everything. Put some of the electronics back together in the upper part of the base, in the lower part of the base. Clean the electronics, reinstall them on the bonnet. Eventually those all have to go back together. Now to tackle the globe, which is my least favorite part. Okay, there's a whole bunch of screws all the way around that have to be removed. This is the back assembly, so it knows where it is. This foot sits in the base. And screws and screws. Things to note, there is a magnet here for sensing. Again, that's what I think probably rotates above those probably Hall sensors to get the magnetic field so it knows where things are. There's one here at the bottom where the kitty potty dumps. And then there's one along, there you are, the top area so that I guess it can find its home. These are still there, they're properly seated, they've never been removed. Sometimes they fall out and the polarity's weird and the kitty potty gets confused, but these are fine. Now to get this thing all taken apart and cleaned up. Truth be told, I have taken the globe apart before because in the base of it, in the center of the picture in this circle, there's underneath it a weight. It sits in a gasket, and as this gets older and gets more use, the weight tends to fall out. So I've been in here a long time ago, a couple times, probably more than a couple times, to put that weight back in. I finally just glued that in, and I'll show you what I mean by that, because now I can take this apart. After taking out all those screws. Top part is just going to get a big old clean. And then I'm probably going to reseat the gasket all the way around and check the bottom underneath to make sure the weight's still in, and then go from there. So again, this just kind of comes off around the edge. So you have to tuck it back in later. It's hard to do this one-handed. And then it exposes that weight, which is still there. Yay. If you ever pick up your little robot and you hear something sliding around in it, probably the weight has fallen out. But this is all going to get a good clean, because mostly the globe just needs a clean in all its parts, because there's not too many electronics hanging out, except to check those magnets that are around the edge near the gearing. Now don't do any of this water cleaning with anything that has any of the electronics. These are all free of electronics, so I can get away with this, or at least this is how I do it. And that needs a really good clean. So let's get to it. Cleaned and scrubbed, inside and out, thoroughly rinsed, thoroughly de-glittered. Yeah. Definitely checked all the nooks and crannies. Make sure those magnets stay in those gearings. And now to let it dry out here in the gazillion degree heat. Alrighty then, while everything dries, I can put the base electronics and materials back together. This little blue connection here connects right there, and you have to kind of weave it along those little clips right there to keep it in place. So let's get that done. Okay, there they are, wound under the clips and connected with the little bracket pointed outward like it was originally. Oop, gotta get that blue wire back in there. Oop. Okay, now to screw it all back together with the four that are underneath, and then again, watch out for the ones hiding in the handle and the back area underneath where the globe locking mechanism sits. Okay, a few moments later, and a few curse words along the way that my mother would not be happy that I actually know. They are all in big fingers, small places. Okay, I've reattached the motor. White to brown, red to green, like it was originally. Now I got to put it back in there. So see you on the other side of that. Okay, I decided to do a little bit of wire containment and fastening on some of the boards before I put this all together, because I don't want these wires tangling up with the mechanism, and I want them all nicely tucked out of the way, and some of the circuit boards kind of protected. So I definitely want those two little sensors there really buckled down, because again, I think it was this little magnetic sensor, I think it's called a Hall sensor, and this one that I think are the issue. Okay, the cable tolerances in there are kind of fidgety, so you have to do a lot of wiggling to get it seated right around the mechanism, making sure the wires behind that area right there are tucked away and nicely out of the way, and you seat all the screw lockdown locations onto the respective posts underneath this, and it took a lot of wiggling, but it's in. Okay, now the slow process of getting the liner back in the globe. I gotta take this wonderful ribbing here and slowly wind it into the groove that is around the edge here. So everything in there. Wish me luck. A little bit along the way here. It's really easy to tuck in and just kind of keep going all around the edge. I start at one side and then work my way around. When you get it all in, make sure you kind of go around one more time and just make sure it's properly seated all the way around and around the lip of the opening. Now to get the rest of the globe back on there without it falling out. Time to reapply the screws all the way around the globe and back together it will be. Now we need to install the back arm so that it knows where it is and seated in the base. So this wonderful thing has to go back on. So this goes on the outside and this goes on the inside. So I reach through here, connect it on there, and put them together. Make sure when you get it connected on the back, it'll lock up once it hits some standoffs on the spindle, and then as it goes the other way, it'll actually keep going forever. But you'll hear it click every now and then. But it has to lock up one direction and not the other. And make sure it's freely spinning, but definitely tightened into the inner bolt. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see once it's all back together or whether or not it gets back to the home position and doesn't get stuck upside down. I got my fingers crossed. Doo-be-doo-be-doo, be-doo-be-doo-be-doo. Come on, you can do it. Be-dooby. Hopefully it was just cleaning all the schmutz. Doobie. Don't get stuck. Here's about where it gets stuck if it does. And it did. Beep for language. After calming down, let's talk sensor orientation. I found out the Hall sensors in the base, looking for the magnets, had to have a very certain orientation for it to know where the globe was and how it was moving. At least for a while. Foreshadowing for you. This image shows the orientation of those sensors while looking from the front of the litter robot to make it work. Okay, moment of truth. Will it actually function as it's supposed to? Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. So far, so good. I'll speed this up so it's a little bit more quick in reveal here, but keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully it works. Please find the home position. Dee-da-dum, dee-doo-dee-dee-dum, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Stop. About now. You can do it. Yay. Ooh. Temporary woohoo! Success. Yay! Surely you knew it was coming by this point. Do 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 do. Hi. This is Pixie, our one-eyed, half-blind rescue kitty. Isn't she cute? Hey, Chunk. This is Rocky. He had a rough start in life, thus the Rocky Start Rocky name. He's another rescue. Your kitty potty's ready for you to completely destroy. Poor guy. He also suffers from epilepsy because of his rough start. Yeah. Got a half-blind cat and one with epilepsy. You are such a chunk. And just when you think you have a happy ending to a video you've worked on, you find out it's gonna have to have a sequel. It worked for a few days, and it began to lose its mind again. So something is still going on either with the sensors, the circuit board, and I just have to figure out what it is. And it might take just replacing the circuit board or the Hall sensors. So stay tuned. There's more to this story.